Hello, my most amazing artists. I'm so sorry I can't be here today with you. I am very sad, but I have a doctor's appointment, which is not as fun as being here at school in art class. So I really hope everything goes well today with your substitute. You follow directions. I come back to a great report because next week, super important you're here. We're doing some amazing stuff and you gotta be ready for it. So today, you're getting some practice. All right, artists, have fun today.
Hello, my most amazing artists. So last week we were working on finishing our James Rizzi inspired cities as well as Van Gogh with that sky. I didn't finish mine. I was just using it as an example to show you guys. And we are going to make these cities come to life. Now, what I mean by that is that these cities are flat on a piece of paper. We used all flat things. That's called 2D. When it's two-dimensional, it's flat. If it's 3D, it means it's popping out of the paper. You can see it all the way around. Today, we're gonna make 3D cities. Now, we are getting ready to make these cities out of clay. Today, you're gonna have some Play-Doh. Many of you have used this before. When you have Play-Doh and you make something super cool, you can't keep it forever. It doesn't stay forever. So what we will be getting ready to make is a city out of real clay. This real kind of clay is not Play-Doh, which we'll be using today. We're practicing. Next week, we'll be using real clay that we can keep forever. So today we're just gonna practice making our cities so that next week we are ready to use that real clay. So I'm gonna get out one of these. Now, when I get my clay, I gotta make a clay slab. A slab of clay is a flat piece of clay like a pancake. I'm going to show you a few other things though, because if you can make these three things out of clay, you can make anything out of clay. First one is if you can make a clay ball. This is also called a sphere. If you can roll a sphere or a clay ball, you can make anything out of clay. Now, if you can make a coil is a clay snake. So that's rolling it in your hand while applying some pressure, pressing pretty hard. That makes a clay snake thing. The last thing is a slab. So that's flat like a pancake. That's pounding out the clay on the table, pounding it out, getting it nice and flat. Now, real clay, you cannot have any thinner than a cookie and not any thicker than a cookie. It's got to be just about cookie size. If it's super, super thin like this, it'll break right off. I'm going to be making a clay slab today. So I'm going to put all my clay together. I'm going to squish it up, squish it real good. Maybe I'll roll it into a ball, and then I'll flatten it out like a pancake. After I flatten my clay out pretty good, I can actually carefully peel it off the table and flip it over so I have a nice smooth side for my city. Now I'm going to take my clay tool and I'm going to carve into it like a city skyline, kind of like New York City, looking a little bit like that. Or if I go back to my cities and I see all my different sized buildings, I'll know what a skyline looks like. So that's drawing a lot of different rectangles and squares of different heights. Pressing all the way down and through, all the way, so just make them stand up like a soldier and then cut right through with it. Maybe I'll make different heights, play with it a little bit. Oops. All right. Maybe make this one a little bit shorter over here. Make a really, my Play-Doh city won't look like my normal city either. I gotta keep that in mind. Now I'm gonna smooth out any edges that aren't smooth. And then I'm gonna use my tool to carve into it. I'm gonna actually make those buildings. Now this time I'm not pressing all the way through. I'm not cutting through it. I'm just lightly carving into the surface. I'm just drawing right on top of the clay. Now I'm gonna use, maybe I'll use the back of the tool, maybe I'll use the point to make windows. I can press in with it like this. Now when I'm pressing, I'm not pressing all the way through, just lightly pressing. You go to pick your city up, it might fall apart because it is Play-Doh. It's not meant to last forever. It's probably not going to stand up. It's going to fall right apart. And that's okay, because today, this is just practice. Once you practice and you have enough practice making a city that way out of a slab or a flat piece of clay like a pancake, then you can make sure you gather up all your little pieces of clay, and you can do that by using your big piece of clay. You can play around with it a little bit. We get to have a little bit of a fun practice day, because next class that you come in, it's going to be all serious business. Now today when you're done with your Play-Doh, make sure it gets back in the bag, zipped up. But next week when you come into class, you will have real clay. This type of clay comes from the earth. it actually comes from underground. This clay is called earthenware clay. Well, that's because it comes right from the earth. Now, this clay is going to be a lot harder than your Play-Doh. It also is going to be a little bit more messy. It might stain your hands a little bit because it's very similar to mud. So when I get my slab of clay, it's already going to be flat like a pancake for me, not like the Play-Doh was. This one is already going to be like that. So all I got to do is kind of tap it out. This city, I'm going to have a little template here that I can actually cut into. When I'm cutting, I'm going to hold that template onto there just in case you need some help making your city. I'm going to use one of my clay cutting tools from my bin. You'll have a lot of different things in that bin when you have it when you come next week. And I'm going to carefully cut around the template, making sure I'm really carving into there to cut away. So I'm cutting away all that extra clay that's not part of my city. All right, I want to have a flat bottom there. Super important I get a flat bottom. And I'm going to peel away all the pieces of clay. All right, once I peel them away, then I can remove my template and I have a city. I've got my city kind of ready to go. Because when these go in the kiln and get fired, that's what it's called. It's called the big oven. It's called a kiln. And that's where it fires the clay so that it turns it into pottery or ceramic. So I'm going to go ahead and make all of those windows and the details again.